call. This is your last one and a courtesy call. Hey, yeah, it could be danger up in this club. When we get started and we ain't.
Hey guys, welcome back. Orbom here, bringing you again our competitive analysis series. It's been a couple months, but this is what happens with the TCG, man. Every couple months we get ourselves a brand new couple of cards, and it's really exciting. And if you guys don't know, if you go to pokebeach.com, which is where I am right now, I'll probably link them in the description, so check them out. My favorite website to go for like Pokemon news regarding the TCG. But as you can tell by the thumbnail as well, we got revealed for the SM3, which we're getting in August. I believe August 2nd is the release date, but somebody will correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong. We are getting an Alolan Muk-gx. Now, obviously, me and Sticks are going to go over the entire set at some point in time, talking about everything that we expect to have to show up in SM3 and how it affects the metagame and all that stuff like that. But there's been a lot of requested videos. I know people have been wanting me to do this series again because I really like the series, and yeah, so this one's not as scripted, and it's a little bit harder for me to make my deck like I would used to because it's a lot more cards. But regardless, we're gonna be talking about this anyway. So Alolan Muk, as you can see here, beautiful artwork. I love this artwork. It's a dark type, 220 HP, stage 1 Pokemon. That's a really fat Pokemon. 210 was Ninetales. That was the fattest stage 1 we've had, and now we have 220. It's a little bit ridiculous, but that's pretty dope, and it has a lot of cool things going for it. Now it's weak to dark, or it's weak to fighting, which sucks because we'll be going over these more often as time goes by. But we have one new card in this set, Marshadow GX, fighting type 150 Pokemon. We can go over this in a separate video at some point, but its ability Shadow Hunt. You can use the attacks of any basic Pokemon in your discard. You can use the attacks of basic Pokemon in your discard pile. Is really nice, and since Marshadow is probably going to be a tech in some decks, it's a little bit sucky that you're weak to fighting, because it used to not be a big deal, but now it kind of is. And we'll go back to Muk. I wish we would just go, to the first one. There's the full art if you guys want to see the full art. But I like the regular art the most. Like, the regular art looks dope. Like, look at that. That's really cool. But it's resistant to Psychic, which we all know is good because of Garbodor, and it has that hefty 4 retreat cost. Not great, but it's a dark deck. If you want to pair it with Zoroark Break, it's a possibility. I mean, you do have the same energies. Zoroark Break is dark. Zoroark uses DCE. You can also just throw in Float Stones, Escape Rope Switches, things like that. And it has 3 really interesting attacks. Well, 2 interesting attacks. Chemical Press does 10 damage. This attack does 70 more damage for each special condition affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. That is really cool. We're gonna get into how cool that is in a second. We have Crunch for 2 darks and 2 colorless, 120 damage. Discard 1 energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Once again, Crunch is always good. Energy Disruption, 120 damage is not bad. It's a little bit heavy on the attack cost, but it's only 1 more attachment than Chemical Press here, so you'll probably be using Crunch here and there, especially whenever you don't have the status conditions available to you that turn. The Crunch is a really good way to disrupt your opponent while doing a lot of damage. And then Tri-Hazard GX. Take a look at this, guys. This is the first time we're getting a GX attack that's free. This is a free attack. They're really hammering that Alolan Pokemon get free attacks. For its Tri-Hazard GX, it's a GX attack for the game, but you can choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, switch it with their active Pokemon, and that new active Pokemon is now poisoned, burned, and paralyzed. That's kind of huge. That's really big. I don't know if you guys played a lot of Lapras. I know I played a lot of Lapras whenever Lapras GX was announced. But Ice Beam GX is 100 damage and free paralysis. That paralysis can actually change the game. This card, it's a little bit less powerful because Guzma's in the format now, which if you guys don't know, your boy Guzma. Let's take a look at it real quick. Right here. Guzma is the new Lysander. Switch your opponent's active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon, but it also has an Olympia effect. Then switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So Guzma is very powerful. So it kind of is not as easy to make that paralysis stick. But regardless, if you can make it stick, especially since we're losing VS Seeker, it's very powerful. Because that's literally just a free turn, especially since you have to take at least 2 turns to set up if you're manually attaching a DCE and a Dark Energy. Ignore my phone in the background. But because you're being paralyzed, burned, and poisoned, that means that they're taking at least 30 damage at least 30 damage that first turn, and then they have to flip for burn because of the new burn mechanics. But if they're staying active, that's at least 40 damage, at most 60 damage. So that's really, really cool. Assuming you don't have things that can increase poison damage like Seviper over here. Seviper is a brand new card that can actually increase poison damage. As long as this Pokemon is in play, places additional damage on your opponent's poison Pokemon between turns. It's cool. I don't know if it's actually necessary, but it's definitely really, really cool to be able to increase poison damage. Something to keep in mind when building something like Alolan Muk, since the goal is to get status conditions on your opponent's active Pokemon. So how do you use Alolan Muk in a deck? Well, there's a couple of options. We have 2 different Alolan Grimers, both with free attacks. This one is a Psychic type, which is not great because that makes you weak to Psychic, but it does have an attack, flip a coin of heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is paralyzed, and then it has 40 damage for Psychic and DCE. It's probably not the one you're going to play just because of the fact that you have that Psychic energy you're probably not playing. While the second one has a free attack, a DCE attachment, 80 HP, weak to fighting as well, but resistant to Psychic. So we will see how that goes into play, because Marshadow is going to be teched in a lot of Garbodor decks. So even though you are weak to, even though you resist Psychic, that Marshadow could be a problem for you. But Marshadow is low HP and you can kind of revenge it multiple times. It has 2 attacks. Multiply. Search your deck for Alolan Grimer and put it onto your bench. That's what makes this so good. Like Multiply, we saw with Frogadier. It's only 1 Pokemon, but that's 1 extra Pokemon you don't actually have to Ultra Ball or Bridge it or anything like that. And then Trip Sludge. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. So that's another status condition. For a DCE, since you're already going to be attaching a DCE at some point, it's a pretty good Pokemon. So always play this one. Trip Sludge is just another status condition. And we have a couple of Pokemon that can really help with the status condition aspect of the deck. At least there's one new one. I don't know if it's worth playing, but it's something I should definitely talk about. I don't know if it's in this set. Hold on. There is a Pikachu. Here it is. Raichu. Raichu is a brand new Pokemon in Sun and Moon Burning Shadows. As you can see here, the artwork is amazing. Pikachu Raichu. It's about time we got another Pikachu card. Its ability is Evo Shock. When you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon paralyzed. So that's, first of all, paralysis was once again very, very, very powerful. It's a lot less reliable nowadays, which is why I don't really care about paralyzing too much because of Olympia, Guzma, Escape Rope, Switch. Zoroark is picking up a lot more play, especially seeing how Zoroark just won Mexico Regionals. So paralysis is not as reliable as it used to be, but it's free paralysis. Like, it's hard to turn down. It evolves. Obviously you're not going to be attacking with this Raichu if you were to throw in the deck. You just do it to do that extra 70 damage. I'm going to quickly scroll through to see if I'm forgetting anything as far as items and go. Oh, but there's that. We're going to go over some other options as well. So give me 1 second. There is one other card that's actually very interesting that we're getting in Sun and Moon. That can actually help with your tank ability, and that is the tool card Muscle Dumbbells. If you guys don't know, it's a brand new ridiculous tool card. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is a stage 1, its max HP is increased by 40, so you can turn Muk's ridiculous 220 HP stat into a even more ridiculous 260 HP stat. Now, I'm not too sure how useful that is, but same Marshadow copies Drampa's attack, which is what you're going to be seeing a lot of in Drampa Muk, or Drampa Garbodor, I mean. They only hit 160 with a Choice Band. They only hit 220. So if they don't have any damaged Pokemon in the back, you can actually tank a hit with Muscle Dumbbells. I do prefer Choice Band on it because Choice Band helps increase your damage output, but it is another option. Once again, options are good. Don't forget that, guys. A lot of people always question, like, why would you even think about playing that card? It's like, it's an option. Options are good. Options help. We're getting a secret rare, by the way, for whatever reason. Like, Pokemon really hates my wallet. But regardless, there's that. We also have a couple of other options I am going to be talking about, so we're going to actually switch over here to PTCGO. And I just opened it up, so ignore all that. We'll go to the deck manager. And we're going to talk about some other cards in a much easier to see format that I feel like is going to be the #1 way to play this deck. Now, we know all about Alolan Muk being the way it is, 70 extra damage plus a 10. So if we combine that with, first of all, the Alolan Muk we already have, it's going to be really nice. Power of Alchemy actually helps you deal with Marshadow, because Marshadow is a basic Pokemon with the ability to copy attacks. The Power of Alchemy turns off turns off the abilities of basic Pokemon in play. No need for a Float Stone like Garbodor or anything like that. It's essentially a Silent Lab. It pairs really well because they both evolve from the same Pokemon. It's weak to Psychic, but that's okay because it's a one prize Pokemon. It's not a big deal. And deals really, really, really nicely with Marshadow. So, as well as things like it stops Lele's, Orangaroos, if that's anything that's important. And of course, I'm talking about post-rotation, but I mean pre-rotation is stop Shaman and things like that, so there's that as well. Obviously, the set comes out, I believe, like a week or two before rotation happens. I know this set comes out a week before Worlds, and then after Worlds, there's no reason to play the format anymore because Worlds is over. So pretty much as far as I go, once Worlds is over, rotation's happening, and this is really, really nice. It's really nice because it deals with Marshadow, and Marshadow's a problem. So you have that, and then you have the biggest card that's going to really, really, really make this card pop, and that is Salazzle. Salazzle has 110 HP, whatever, but it has the ability Hot Poison. When you play its Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, during your turn, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon burned and poisoned. So that's 2 status conditions, alright? Muk being able to hit that insane 110. Hold on. Give me one sec, guys. Being able to hit for those big numbers. Let's go ahead and switch tabs again. Muk hits for 10 plus 70 for each status condition on your opponent's active Pokemon. So if you evolve, you're putting 2 status conditions on your opponent's active Pokemon, which means you're hitting for an extra 140, right? Which means you're hitting for 150. And this is without a tool. The burn and poison that will be on your opponent's active Pokemon will bring that up to 180 after you attack. So without a choice band, without a Kukui, without a third status condition, you are hitting that magical 180 number. Muk's numbers are really, really, really nice compared with Salazzle. And once again, like, if your opponent, for whatever reason, knocks out Salazzles, who cares? They're one prize attackers. Your main deal is to make sure your Muk doesn't get knocked out, because your Muk is the tank. It's 220 HP. And once again, being weak to fighting, it only sucks in your Lycanroc matchup because there's no other relevant fighting type decks right now, and even Lycanroc is questionably relevant. And that's assuming you don't use your GX attack and they can't switch out. With your GX attack, you can use that whenever you see your opponent has a really, really fat Pokemon like Solgaleo or Solgaleo and Lunala. You're hitting for, against that, you burn, paralyze, poison them. They take their damage at the minimum of 30. And then the following turn, you hit them for, what was that, 70, 140, 210, 220 damage. On top of the 30 damage, that's 250. And that's assuming and if they have more than 250, say you have a Muk, the Muscle Dumbbells, they have 260 HP. Even if they flip out of the burn, they still have the poison. So that's 260 at the end of the turn. So Muk's numbers are incredibly, incredibly nice. There's very little in the metagame that can actually deal with those numbers. But the issue with Muk is that it's all combo based. If you can't get those combos working, then you're going to have some issues. But luckily, we do have Muk's secondary attack, which does do 120 damage. We also have just some Pokemon to pair with it. People have been mentioning a lot of Darkrai GX, because Darkrai GX does have Rebirth, if you guys don't know. I can't pull it up because it's not on this page, but Darkrai GX Rebirth, which puts a Darkrai from your discard pile to the bench, and then you can attach a Dark Energy from the discard pile to that benched Darkrai. It's pretty nice. You can combine that with things like Energy Switch to move the energies onto Muk if you really want to. I don't really feel like it's necessary. I mean, it does have an attack that's just base 130. 130 damage. And then its GX attack does get a free knockout on any Pokemon with a status condition, which combined with Salazzle is pretty nice. But the attack cost for all of them is dark colorless, which means you're going to be attaching a lot more. Maybe if you, it's definitely a tech in the deck if you really feel like it's necessary, or you feel like it really helps you out. I would play maybe 1 or 2 Darkrai GX in the deck, because Rebirth is just nice anyways. You can just bring it out whenever you want. But the issue with it is the fact that it's a 3 energy attacker. Max Elixir is not as convenient in decks like these, because they're a stage 1 deck. You don't really want to clunk up the deck, especially since you're already playing possibly a 4/4 line of Salandit Salazzle. Which is also an issue with bench space, because you want to play your Lele, you want to play your Mucks down. You got to be very wary of bench space. Now, we do have cards like Super Scoop Up coming back in the format, which is really nice in a deck like Muck, because Super Scoop Up has such high HP, and if your Muck is about to be knocked out, you put it back into your hand with Super Scoop Up. You can also put back everything attached to it back into your hand, like the Choice Band probably attached for that extra damage, maybe Muscle Dumbbells, the DCE that you don't want to lose, the Dark Energy you don't want to lose, and then it also pairs really nicely with putting your Salazzle back into your hand. That way you can reuse it later in the turn. You also have the Evolution Spray if you want to play that. There's a bunch of different options in a deck like this, which is always really nice. Options are good. Don't ever forget that, guys. Options are good. You can play Raichu if you want to, but once again, I feel like you have so much consistency. You already hit magical numbers with just Salazzle on its own, that there's no real need for you to play anything more than that. I would probably play some Field Blowers to deal with any Garbodor's ability lock. That way you can abuse Salazzle more. Definitely feel like Super Scoop Up's a must in this deck, because high HP Pokemon love Super Scoop Up. Preserving your DCEs is always really nice as well. The format is a little bit slower nowadays, so being able to attach twice is really nice. A Darkrai or 2 is a nice tech in this deck, especially since late game that can be really handy if you haven't used your GX attack yet and you just want a free knockout. Although most of the time you're getting knockouts regardless, so that's handy as well. Is there anything else I have to talk about? Crunch is good. I don't know of any supporters that help the deck out. I guess you could play cards like Reverse Valleys to increase your dark damage by 10, but it's not actually necessary, because like I just went over, I'm going over this huge tangent, and people keep asking me all the time, because I actually have a Discord. If you guys want to check out my Discord, let me know. I can put it in the description. But if you guys ever go to my streams, you guys know about this, that I have a Discord where we talk about things like that. And people do mention, like, why not add more damage, add more damage, add more damage? And, like, Pokemon's a numbers game, right? So if you already hit the numbers you want to hit, then there's no real reason for you to hit more. Because you already get the knockouts that you need. So obviously there's Pokemon like Noivern that have 200 HP that are going to be a little bit more annoying to deal with. But combining that with just an extra poison turn, and you should be okay, because extra poison turn, just a whole extra turn, will give you that 200 damage that you might need. You also have Choice Band, so if you really need the extra damage, Choice Band is there. Obviously you should play Choice Band, because hitting 210 is better than hitting 180 because of cards like Lurantis and Noivern and Espeon and things like that, which I didn't even mention, which I should have mentioned a while ago. So you are going to be playing Choice Band in the deck for sure. Plenty of Float Stones, plenty of Guzma, so that you have all these retreat options, because you are an incredibly fat Pokemon. For a 4 retreat cost is not great, but I believe that's everything. I can't think of another thing that you could add to the deck, to be honest. I guess you could play Experience Shares or Wish Batons to put your energies onto another Muck if it ever does get knocked out. I do like Super Scoop Up more in a deck like this. It is a flip, which is not great, but the cool thing about these stage 1 decks, these decks that just have all of these heavy things, is that we have Bridget now, and Bridget being able to put in, like, the combination is really nice, right? Bridget, you can get if you play Octillery in the deck, because I really like Octillery in our current format, especially combined with the new with Guzma now. With Guzma being out, Octillery is just a lot stronger, because it's never going to be Lysandered out to be stuck. But you do have to play a lot of Guzma, because we are losing VS Seeker. Being able to bridge it for a Grimer, like have a Grimer in the active so that it can attack with Grimer, Remoraid, and Salandit on the bench, and then you use Grimer's attack to get you a second Grimer. So you have a bench, probably Tapu Lele, 3 Grimers on the bench, even though you really only need 2. So maybe instead get Salazzle or Salandit, Remoraid and then use Grimer to get 2 Grimers, one on the active, one on the bench, assuming that 1 Grimer won't be knocked out. It all depends on the game situation. And then you probably have Top Lily down to get yourself that Bridget. So you have a full bench as early as turn 1. You can evolve everything at the following turn. That you can have the attachments available. You can use your Guzma to switch between your Pokemon. I feel like Muk is actually going to be a viable deck, if not at least the best gimmick deck out there. But anyways, thank you guys all so much for watching. I rambled for 20 minutes about this card. I really like this card, and I cannot wait to play it. It's definitely going to be a deck I build IRL, because it seems really trolly, but like offensively trolly, not like disruption trolly that nobody actually, because like if you play disruption, nobody's your friend. It's just how it is, unfortunately. Regardless, drop a like, subscribe, share, all that good jazz. Let me know what cards you want me to do more of these competitive analyses over, because this is one of my favorite series to record. I can just get out of bed and just talk. I like talking about things, because it's just, I don't have to write a script or anything like that, especially now, because I remember I did the whole script thing where I showed pictures on the screen with the background. I just didn't like it. I feel like that was a lot of work for something that I could just get across by just talking to you guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you feel like I missed anything, what kind of strategies I could have threw in the deck, what kind of because there's still cards like Hypno. There's that one, I forget, that one stadium card that prevents you from being sleeping and confused, like prevents specific status conditions. Hypno is good because you can prevent yourself from being asleep. You can play that with Darkhead, with the Darkhead Darkrai, the Darkrai EX that does extra damage if your opponent's active Pokemon is asleep. I believe that's also a dark double colorless. I don't know off the top of my head. There's Ariados, and you can play the same stadium to prevent yourself from being poisoned. That guarantees you poison. But once again, I just feel like Salazzle is the most consistent way to play the deck. But I could be wrong. Maybe something else comes out and people just start playing like a bunch of different kinds of Pokemon on one deck. And yeah. But regardless, drop a like, subscribe, share, all the good jazz. Let me know in the comments down below what you want to see me talk about next as far as these new cards go. I love this series, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.